A very good afternoon to all. I'm Dr. Uttara Mohan, head of IP Digital Media team. I'll be host for today's session a webinar. Okay, today's webinar is being organized by IP Women's Cell Networking Committee of Maharashtra. The moderator for today's session is Dr. Mayura Deshmukh. The topic for the webinar is Ergonomics in Low Back Pain with resource person Dr. Tanmayee Puntambekar. We are live on IAP India YouTube channel for this webinar. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel to get regular notification during live webinar. Before we start, I would like to tell you in brief about the IP Digital Media team. We are a group of physiotherapists who handle the Zoom platform, webinar live streaming, and IP social media. So IP has profiles on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You can like and follow these pages to get regular updates during our online and offline activities. In the YouTube channel of IAP, you will find in the playlist section, the webinars are segregated into various folders on subjects like orthopedics, neurology, sports, pediatrics, etc. for easy access and finding out the knowledge. I will be sharing the links for the social media in the chat. Now I request Dr. Mayura to please start over the session.
Yeah, thank you very much, Uttara ma'am. IIP, good afternoon, everyone. Maharashtra is headed by Dr. who is a I president, Dr. Ruchi Varshney ma'am, national head, Dr. Pooja ma'am, zonal head, Dr. Swadhanveer ma'am, state coordinator, Dr. Sahil ma'am, state joint coordinator, Dr. Mohan and Dr. Priya Karande and Dr. Nirali Sanghavi, state subordinates. Committees state in Maharashtra many low-cost activities, CMEs, workshops, conferences, webinars, public awareness campaigns, health camps, blood donation camps, district since 2018. In the years 2021, 2022, 2020 and 2024, IUC Maharashtra has received award for best state. As a networking committee, we Dr. Afsat, Dr. K. Patni, Dr. Smita Shinde, Dr. Krishna Pandey, and Dr. Rutvi Gandhi. We are guided by Dr. Sanjay sir, Dr. Ruchi ma'am, Dr. Pooja Kamle, Dr. Sunagan ma'am, and Dr. Uttara Mohan ma'am. So, we are starting with today's webinar by Dr. Puntambekar. So, Dr. Tanmayee is currently working as an assistant professor in Symbiosis Institute of Design, Pune. To add actions in her professional conditions are she is a physiotherapist, ergonomics, and specialist with 13 years of experience. She has a bachelor's of physiotherapy and done human and ergonomics from University of Nottingham. She has published several research papers in national and international index journals. She has been awarded with Young Researcher Award in 2021. She has presented her research papers with a winning paper presentation in various national international conferences. She has done multiple ergonomic seminars and ergonomic audits in manufacturing industry, synergizing their man-machine interaction. So I welcome you, Dr. Tanmayee ma'am, and I would like to request you to start with your presentation. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. I'll just share my screen. Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay. So thank you very much for the introduction. So, but today we'll be looking at how ergonomics plays a very important role in reducing the low back pain. And as ma'am said, I am Dr. Tanmayee Puntambekar. I've done my bachelor's in physiotherapy and master's in human factors and ergonomics. And I've been practicing since then. So, ergonomics basically is a very scientific discipline which deals and is concerned with the human interaction. So, nothing is very set, it always has certain ranges into it. So that means when we talk about a person using a laptop or a desktop, so there are certain guidelines, but again it will change as per the person's physique and the human interaction, what the person is doing with that particular element. So this is comparatively a very new field which has come up. We say it new because it has just started in 1904, and World War II was something very major where ergonomics took place and took shape of, as a scientific discipline and a field. So there are multiple elements in the system, and these elements come together. Plus, a person using these systems has to work on it. So we call it a scientific discipline because it has certain principles, certain theories, certain data collection, which we add to optimize the person's well-being. So we say well-being because everything depends on a human who is working, and the well-being is more important. On the other hand, even the performance of the system and the production, whatever is happening, is also important because productivity is the key for what humans work. So that's the reason we always say man-machine interaction, ergonomics, human factors. These are all gelled up in such a way that you cannot do one in spite of doing something else. So, and everything works together for optimizing the workplace. So as I said, this domain is quite new. There are three major domains. But before we start with the domain, I'll tell you major about how this history of ergonomics has come up. It all started after World War II when maximum manufacturing industries, the men went for fighting the battles and they were deployed there. And they realized to run the country and to run the economy, we need women who can come, we can train them, and they will start, running the manufacturing industries. uh, when this whole decision was taken, they started employing women there for the industries, and they realized the physical aspect, the cognitive aspect of the human is very different compared to a men. And the reach what the men were operating, women went up into physical strain more easily. And the companies realized that this is not how women will be able to work later, because they will go into pains and uh, stress and everything very easily. So they started doing small jugaad there. They started giving chairs, they started giving footstools to stand up, to reach to the the buttons and the controls and everything. So they started when this was shaping up. This was the major thing which shaped ergonomics as a whole new discipline into it. So earlier, when it was more physical aspect where people were trying to adjust to that workplace, so physical ergonomics is a major domain which I think everybody of us uses. we all think about the anatomy, how people are, how posture correction helps, how biomechanics of each body changes as per the posture changes. So it is more related to the posture and physical activity what we do, and this is how the whole discipline also was started. Second major domain is cognitive ergonomics. It all works based on how the mental process of us changes the way we work. So the memory, perception, how
Yes,
we think,
चालू है.
sorry, how we tend to react. So very simple example, if we are angry, we just bang the door. So our force is increased just because our we are angry, and our psychology helps or modifies our thinking process and the actions also. So later on, people realized that there are a lot of things where cognitive changes happens and the person's reactions also changes. And based on this, this was also added. There was a very huge nuclear power plant incident which happened, is called as 3 Mile Island, and that is a major incident which shaped cognitive ergonomics and shaped how people perceive, how people respond based on what machine is responding, and that was added and taken it ahead as a field of cognitive ergonomics. Another major domain, which is organizational ergonomics. This is, I feel this is the most interesting domain because none of the decision is in our hand as employees or as we are working, but maximum decisions are placed by the company. And as the decisions for the policies, the structures, job timing, they're shaped by the company and you're supposed to work for those many hours, it automatically affects us. So if suppose a construction worker is working for 12 or 14 hours a day, his physique will be very different. His strength will be very different compared to a person sitting in IT industry and having a seating job. So as our job design changes, as the nature of work, policies, all these things changes, our response to the work and the task what we are doing will also change. So these are the three major domains in which ergonomics has been spread and this has been developed further. So I'm sure everybody over here knows how the pain reacts and how we reach to the pain. Many times, we receive patients saying that 2-3 months prior it started paining, and then it was not much, so we overlooked, we ignored, and but now it is more. Now the pain is more. Now I cannot do this, I cannot do that. So usually when people come to us, they come when the pain is also at a very severe stage and the functionality is hampered a lot. But today we will see here how ideally we reach to that particular pain also. Sorry. So suppose now we are sitting for a lecture for almost an hour. So first stage, what happens with our body is the activity stage. That is the active stage. Any work you start, any kind of movement you start, first 10-15 minutes, you will always be fit and fine. Because we are busy, our whole aspect of thought process is always in the work what we are supposed to do. And people are cognitively also very nice. They will listen to the lecture, they will understand what they are doing. That is the activity stage. I'm sure everybody knows how muscle works and how um, antagonist agonist works together. So in this activity stage, specifically those muscle work which are supposed to do their job. So that's the reason you'll always see people sit straight, you'll always see people standing correctly and doing their particular task because they have just started it. So for this 10-15 minutes or max 20 minutes, the activity stage goes where we are sitting straight, we are observing what is happening, we are listening to whatever work we are doing. And later on, after this 15-20 minutes, धीरे धीरे we tend to hunch. This hunching starts from our compensatory stage. This clearly mentions that the muscles which were working prior are a bit tired, and there are some other muscles which are coming you and supporting you to do that particular job. So these muscles which are coming and supporting us are the secondary muscles which work for that particular task. So that is the reason you see a slight hunch if you're sitting. If you're standing, we tend to, try to shift a certain weight on one leg and one on another, something like this. So this compensatory stage is not for a longest duration. It is hardly for 10 to 12 minutes, not more than that. Remember, our activity stage was for 20 minutes. After that, these muscles, because they are not doing their actual primary task, they are doing their secondary task, they also get tired. And then we land up into something called as discomfort. So this discomfort is where we start changing positions. This. We shift to one side of the chair. We give more weight on one particular leg, and many times we tend to try changing the position. We fold our legs. We keep it down. Something like this, but we don't get up from the place. So these kind of small changes, when we try to shift weight, when we try to go in, we are not sitting correct, we are not sitting straight, but we are trying to finish our work, and that's the reason we are sitting. So this discomfort stage is very crucial, and noticing that stage becomes more important. As we reach discomfort and we ignore it, why? Because work is important, that is obvious. We are sitting, अभी just काम start किया है. It's hardly 25-30 minutes, max 35 minutes, and we are starting to change our positions here and there in some or the other way. So we don't give up because we start feeling better once we just change a bit of position and we start, because our whole concentration is on working. But when we ignore this particular stage, we'll end up into pain. This is the stage where pain starts, the fourth stage. So you might have noticed, if you're sitting for 1.5 hours at a stretch, you will notice a very pinpoint pain at your low back, something like pricking. And that pain is always because the bones are compressing and your whole body weight is on your low back. That pinpoint pain is something which later on turns into a major pain, and then people will not be able to do the movements. So the whole idea over here is, before the pain, we are supposed to take a break. When we say take a break, doesn't mean you just get up and don't do anything else and just be free. It actually means change the complete position of what you are doing. So if you're sitting down doing some work, get up, turn around, do some stretches if possible. If not, fill a bottle, come back again. So because you are sitting, you completely change your posture from sitting to standing. You're walking, again coming back and sitting. You again land up into activity stage, which is our first stage. So this automatically happens, and this automatically goes on ahead and ahead. So we always say, after every 45 minutes, make sure you at least get up, turn around, come back and sit. So what I personally do is I roam around the class when I'm teaching, or else if I have a very sitting clerical things, I get up, I take a printout, or I keep my small bottle, so I go and fill up water, come back again, or you get up, go to the washroom, come back again, something like this. So it is embedded, that break will be embedded in your whole routine, and it should not be acha nahi hame break lena hai and then you do it. So these kind of small changes would automatically shift us to activity stage more and not land up into pain stage. Posture, I'm sure everybody know what is a correct posture and what is wrong posture. But the whole idea of posture is the attitude in which all the muscles are maintained. These postures are conducted by the body and the muscles based on your strength, based on how is your quality of life, what kind of postures we attend on a day to day basis. Are we doing it in a correct way or no? I personally feel postural changes and low back pain, they are more like slow poisoning. I say it's slow poisoning because we become habituated to that one particular posture. If I'm not sitting straight, if I'm not sitting supported, uh, it will be a problem, and then I'll hunch. And later on, after few years, I'll automatically hunch, and this will be my normal posture because this will be stretching for me. So the whole attitude of how we as a person are uh, conducting our postures changes the whole stability of our body also. It shifts. There are many people you might have seen where shoulder levels are not straight, they are ideally one is down and one is up, something like this. We have a lot of people who land up into knee pain, low back pain, just because the posture is not correct. So posture plays a very important role when you are training a person or training any patient for those muscle strength and everything. So when we mention stability, it is not only for one particular muscle or one particular joint. Posture, what happens is, helps us, because it is all connected, it helps us to understand how the changes in the posture will change the pain and will change or will have a problem to it. So I am sure we, on a day-to-day basis, we do all these kind of things, and we multiple times attend bad postures. We do lot of activities within whole day, like just from tying shoelaces or tying sandals till lifting something heavy. Now, because we have Diwali approaching, we'll have a lot of heavy lifting, cleaning activities around. So all these things, when a person does in a bad posture, they will automatically land up into low back pain. Not only bad posture, if they are not doing the whole thing correctly, they might have more tiredness. The whole aspect of postures, because it doesn't give you a very quick pain on a day to day basis. It's very rarely where you bend and you lift something heavy and then you have a back issue. But on a very day to day basis, it turns your muscles in a very I would say it weakens your muscles. The muscles today, if it is able to take a certain amount of weight, after 15 days, 20 days, it will not take that much amount of weight. So all these aspects affects the body, the muscles, and the back pain too much. And because of that, it is important to maintain the postures on a day-to-day basis. See, I will never say that you should always sit straight, you should always do things like this, or I always mention that these things, correct postures or correct way of bending and all, should be a habit. And to gain it to a habit, to take it till that time, we need to consciously do it for few months. Once we consciously do it, automatically we try later, because once you start attaining a good posture, in any position you feel comfort, and as you feel comfort, you practice that on a day to day basis. The only difference is, today you should be aware that, oh, I'm sitting like this, oh, I should not sit like this. That's it. This awareness is very important on a day to day basis. And this awareness, adding the awareness, uh, becomes important in each and everybody's life to maintain the posture, so we don't land up into pains or we don't land up into issues. Also, there are a lot of patients which we have seen where once they go up into pain or once they are facing certain amount of pain, they automatically try to maintain good postures, because those are the postures which give them comfort. So I personally think it is always interrelated to each other. Once you practice good posture, the pain doesn't come. But nowadays, it's happening ulta. Once the pain is there, people try to understand, oh, bending like this gives problem, so we should maintain a good posture, something like that. We'll see on examples later also how it happens and how things would work. Standing and working is a very major aspect of each and everybody's life. Everybody, right from a housewife working in kitchen till standing in queues, holding, standing for grocery lines, everything. Standing becomes a very important thing. And if you're standing for a longer duration, we tend to shift our sides and weight on one side or the other side. In spite of doing that, and later on, we try to lean on something, and again, we go into that slouching shape because we are leaning on something. So there are a lot of different types of ways how people shift their weight and change their spine, which ultimately affects the whole back pain. It's very easy. First, if you have a standing job, try to give equal weight on both the legs. Just keep the legs a bit apart, like shoulder distance. Automatically the weight will go on both the legs easily. We don't have to consciously do it, we just have to consciously make our legs apart. That's it. Because many times you will not get something to keep a foot on. So standing with giving equal weight on the legs will help more. But if we are working in kitchen, if we are working somewhere where standing is important, you can just keep or place one leg on something so that your muscles are released. Usually this helps for some time. If specifically we have standing jobs, we have standing occupations such as teachers, people working at security gates, something like this. So when we have lot of standing around, this standing on both the legs and standing on one leg will help. We are approaching Diwali, so this will be happening on a very day-to-day basis. So usually what happens, if you see the first picture, whenever we are bending in complete U shape, right from the legs to the hand, bending is not a problem. See, gravity pulls you down when you're bending. Okay. And it helps because gravity is pulling you, your muscles doesn't have to work a lot. The problem becomes when you're coming up against the gravity and when you're standing straight. So if you technically see the low back muscles and the spinal muscles, these are small muscles. As these are small muscles, when you are coming up against the gravity, your head has to come up first, then your shoulders with the weight what you are lifting, and then your low back. So your low back is taking your upper body weight, the weight of the structure also which you are lifting, and the movement is also done by these small spinal muscles. And that is the reason this kind of U-shaped bending gives a lot of problem. As I said, bending is not a problem. Coming up against the gravity becomes more problem. So this whole thing while coming up gives specific compression of L4, L5 and L5S1 with the movement at the same bones and same spinal structures will automatically land people into pain. So it all depends how you land up into pain. If your muscles are weak, you will land up into pain early. If they are strong, they will need some more time. But compared to these muscles, the low back muscles, your glutes and quads and hams are a huge muscle group. That is the reason we always say don't bend from your back, always bend from your hip. Because glutes are a very big and very huge muscle group. So when you're squatting down, when you tend to bend your knees and squat down and then bend from the hip, your knees are locked automatically. Because they are locked, because you're taking a very major weight on your whole upper body, weight comes on the glutes, and the action also becomes on the glutes. Plus, coming up action of knee extension and coming straight from the squat position is taken by quads and hams. So, as the small muscle earlier was taking a lot of action and the movement together at one pinpoint, now it is divided into three major muscles. So this is the major reason why जितने भी लोगों को low back pain है ना, specifically at lower back, they will always squat down. If you ask them to lift a pencil also from floor and come up, they will always squat down because they feel that is more better compared to bending. This correct position, I'm sure everybody will not do it. Everybody will feel, who does this? Why should we do it? And all these things. But ideally, every manufacturing industry, every industry where there is safety concerns, where there's a lot of lifting, where there's a lot of loading, unloading, they tend to follow these safety measures. This become as their safety measures and the baseline that you're supposed to do this when you're lifting things. So I'm sure now you will understand how this particular bending in U shape and squatting down has a very major difference between them on the body, and why bending and squatting and bending or bending from the hip is more necessary. Our next important posture is backpacking. This is very usual. I remember when we were in school, we always used to have such kind of horizontal backpacks. I say it horizontal backpacks because all the books, if you see, they used to go in two sides, and it was always easy to distribute the weight on your left and right shoulder equally. Okay, so specifically for school students who are of primary and higher secondary, these kind of bags, the picture what you see in between, mermaid bags wala, so those kind of horizontal bags helps more because their weight is more. Another important thing is the whole bag many times goes down because the strap is loose, and that becomes the fashion or a trend or looks cool kind of a thing. Because we are taking weight on our back, the whole bag should be touching our upper, from the upper back to the low back. Ideally, the bag, whenever we are hanging it on the back, it should end where our buttock starts. So the strap should be so tight that the whole backpack becomes a component of our body, and that is how we won't be able to change the weight because it's a component of our body. Another important thing is this kind of sacks, what you see at the last picture, has come up now more, as these bags are there, and these bags have come up now more into picture. Ideally, a person can take double of their weight. So if I'm 50 kg, I can ideally carry 100 kgs on my back. That is what is the potential of a person. That doesn't mean you carry it on a day-to-day basis, but that is your capability as a person to do it. But it cannot happen if it is a bad ways of doing it. It cannot happen if you're doing it on a very day-to-day basis. Also, it cannot happen if you are taking the bag very low, covering your buttocks, and uh, whenever the bag goes down, the center of gravity shifts back. Because it is shifting back, to manage the center of gravity, we tend to hunch more. And because we are hunching, the shoulders and the upper back goes into issue, and the low back takes the load. As one joint, because spine is a very beautiful aspect. If one thing moves, or automatically the other will move. So because the upper back is moving and it is going down, automatically the lower back will also change. It will also, go into changes. That's the reason I always say that keep the backpack closer to your back. It should snug your back in such a way that it doesn't change, it doesn't move. If you are running also with the bag on your backpack, on your back, it will help. This is another important thing which we usually say like a common sense, but overreaching is done a lot on a very day-to-day basis. Just remember you sitting on a dining table and asking something to pass, and if they don't pass, we just overreach. We try to reach in such a way that we are compensating on the posture. See, sometimes sitting is already giving a certain amount of weight on your low back, L4, L5, L5S1. And that weight, if you're doing movements which are ideally reaching and overreaching, it will be a problem. So this is our basic funda. If you see a right side picture, whatever is in your elbow length is the usual workspace. So any work which you're doing and you need a very you need a constant interaction, it has to be closer to you. It cannot be away. So keyboard, because that is your interaction where you are typing on the keyboard, that should be in your usual workspace. If you're writing, the book pencil comes closer to you because we are writing, that automatically comes into our usual workspace. So that is the space which is a very primary space on which we are dealing with. That's the reason we say it is till elbow length, only this much length. This much space around us is our primary workspace. That is the usual workspace. Apart from that, somewhere where your elbow is reaching straight, that is your occasional workspace. So things like bottle, telephone, pen stand, which you don't need frequently, but it is there. If usual workspace, things in usual workspace are needed 100%, occasional workspace wali cheeze are needed maybe 30%. They are always kept one hand distance or away. Ideally, your monitor should go into your occasional workspace. That becomes important because we are watching there, you're not interacting directly, you're interacting visually. And that visual interaction can go in occasional workspace. And this non-working area, what you see, that is the ideal area where you're not supposed to overreach. That is the area where you overreach, something apart, away from one hand distance. So we usually say that get up, go there, take that, whatever you want, and then come back. So non-working area is something where we give more stress on the body. So if you're referring few books and you don't need it right now and you want to refer it a bit later, keep it on such a way that on such a distance that it becomes a bahana for you to get up, go, come back and sit again. So this particular non-working area helps you in embedding the aspects of taking break after every discomfort here. So it should, that's the reason I say it should be part of your process. Those breaks should be part of your process. Seating is very important, and desktop seating becomes more important because that is the way we work nowadays. I always say don't just sit straight because nobody can sit straight for longest duration. I remember everybody might have heard this since childhood. सीधे बैठो, सीधे बैठ के काम करो, spine straight रखो. But you cannot do it after a certain amount of point. Remember the activity stage. After that, you are never going to be straight if you're sitting for 2 hours or 3 hours. Always sit supported. Once you're supported, you automatically sit straight. So every chair will have a curve at your low back. That curve should exactly come at our low back curve. That adjustments are already given in chairs, specifically the office chairs. So these adjustments and how you adjust becomes more important here. See, if you look at the picture, it is very easy. Do this, do this, do this, do this. It's fine. It's simple. But there's a way of doing it and there's a process of doing it. If I say my screen should be at 50 centimeter, I keep it at 50 centimeter, I am done. Okay, good. And after that, if I start changing my height of the chair, it will not help because it will change automatically my posture around. So it is always important. So adjust the chair first and then go to the workstation. So I always tell my patients that pull the chair back without respect to the table. Pull it behind. You sit nicely. You sit so that your low back is supported with the cushioning, whatever we have, or the mesh, whatever the chair has. Okay. Try to adjust your armrest first because if the armrest is too high, the shoulders goes up. If it is too low, it will droop down. If it is wide, you will sit like this. So try to adjust the armrest first in such a way that your elbows are relaxed and closer to you. So once you adjust the chair back as per your comfort, then come closer to the, because you are sitting correctly now on the chair, then come closer to the table and then adjust the table height. Here, when you adjust the table height, we see that the keyboard should come near our elbow section. So we are completely closer to the table. We are completely under the table and we are looking at the keyboard level here. It should exactly fit on our elbows, our hands technically, because elbows will be resting on the armrest. If we don't have armrest, then make sure that you're going more under the table so that your elbows are resting on the armrest. Okay. After this, if the hands, if the legs are hanging, then you add a footstool. Then you try adding. Then you try adding a footrest also there. So it automatically supports. See, adding footrest, adding a backrest becomes subjective as per the person's height and the person's demographics. If a person is too tall, I will not ask him to give a keyboard tray. Okay. If a person is too short, I'll ask them to give a keyboard tray and a footrest or something like this. So as per every person changes, their demographic changes, these things will also change. Now, once you adjust the chair height, once you're closer, you adjust your keyboard. We see if our elbows and the wrist is straight at the keyboard. Now, usually the big keyboards of desktop has the keyboard and the keypad also, and keypad and the mouse also. Plus, we don't use keypad on a very day-to-day basis, but the mouse is used on a very frequent basis. So if we see the right hand, it should straight go on the mouse. Shift your keyboard to the left so that typing is easy and the mouse action is also easy. So your right hand moves, resting your elbow on the surface itself. And it's basic internal and external rotation where your hand is just moving for your keyboard and the mouse. This is the most easiest way to deal with the desktop keyboard. As the keyboard changes, as there are new ways of split keyboard and all, then the position will automatically change. And once we are done with this, at last we adjust the monitor at one hand distance, because now you understand that different systems of this particular desktop, that you chair and handrest keyboard, once we have adjusted all those things which come in our primary workspace, then we adjust our secondary workspace. So specifically, the monitor goes exactly at one hand distance from where you are sitting. So that goes into your secondary workspace so that the distance is easy. The distance doesn't have to be too much or too small. It is correct. It comes into your corrective vision very easily. So this process of adjusting from yourself on the chair till the monitor is very important. If this process is not followed, you don't sit in a supported way very easily. Many people you might have seen sit on the ahead or the half part of the chair. Many people don't even sit back and then they start changing their positions frequently. Once you're supported completely, you will be in an active stage for longer duration. It will not be a problem that time. Plus, as we are supported, we can sit for a longer duration. So this whole adjustment process becomes more important, because if we start adjusting from the monitor, then all the aspects what we were looking at will go very haywire. Once you adjust all these things within the process, we sit with our shoulders relaxed, back supported, arms supported, thighs which are almost horizontal distance, and feet flat on the floor. So now it will change. If the chair is too wide, then I would suggest you take a pillow on the low back to support your low back. If the table is high and the chair is going higher, your legs are hanging, add a footrest. That should not be a problem. uh, if you're working with desktop, make it tilt in such a way that it comes into the vision. Also remember, we never sit at exactly 90-degree. The chair is never designed at 90-degree angle. If the chair is at 90-degree angle, we will sit at 60 or 70 degrees. Chair itself is designed at the angle of 90 to 100, 95 to 100, so that we sit at 90-degree correctly. Any chair, if you see the angle of back and the seat, it is always more than 90-degree, so that we sit correctly at 90 degrees. Okay. So this angle distribution is also important. And the back support, what many chairs has, every chair will have a curve for sure, but the back support, what is needed, has to be on a low back itself. It cannot change in any other locations. Also, when we are sitting supported, our muscles are working less, and as they are working less, the strength is automatically prolonged for a longer duration. Thank you. I think that's all from my side.
Thank you, Dr. Nunmai. It was a very enlightening presentation with the brief explanation. We have some of the questions from the audience.
Yeah.
So first question is for specially designed by the physiotherapist for the computer and IT professionals. So it is related to back pain, trapezius pain, wrist pain, and elbow pain. So the question is, uh, how uh, they have more pain in their back, wrist, and neck. So how to manage it and how to prevent the pain?
So usually stretches are the best thing to reduce, because we don't do it. We do it if the person is working, specifically IT professional, if he's working for 8 hours a day. Within 8 hours, we tell minimum at least 6 times you tend to do the hand neck stretches. The elbow hand should be supported when they are working. The wrist and the elbow should be supported on the chair and the table, so that the pain doesn't aggravate there. But again, if the pain is there, then we'll have to go through a proper treatment. But then stretches, office stretches becomes the first key to go, to do these hand stretches, finger stretches, shoulder stretches on a very day-to-day basis, just 2-3 times after every hour. I think that would help. That will automatically help them to reduce the pain also and come back to the work nicely also.
Okay. The second question is related to back pain itself. The question is, can pain, especially the back pain, is reduced only by ergonomics?
I won't say only by ergonomics. As I mentioned prior, it is all gelled up together, right? From what you eat, how is your quality of life, how is your strength, how frequently you exercise. All these things will impact on the body first, and then the ergonomics. Because as the strength goes down, your body posture will keep on changing. And as it is going a bad way, it is changing in a bad way, it will automatically give you a problem. So if you treat a patient with our basic uh, modalities, with exercise and giving ergonomic input, it will be wonders.
Okay. Our next question is, how cognitive ergonomics affect the pain?
So cognitive ergonomics deals with all our mental process, as I mentioned, that it will not directly affect the back, but if we are very tired, we start noticing small changes in the back, which causes back pain. So I always give this example: if you're daily crossing one particular road and one particular speed breaker, the day you're tired, you will feel the jerk on the low back. And the day you're tired, you will feel that jhatka laga, yeah, oh, I didn't वो रोज का speed breaker है, because the road is, you travel through the same road on a very day to day basis. but then you feel that pain because you are mentally also tired. Another thing, the mentality and psychology affects our work and the action continuously. बॉस से झगड़ के आए तो we snap the door. So the force what we use to snap the door is obviously 100 times more compared to what we are doing on a day-to-day basis. So the way we sit also depends on our psychology, and as the psychology changes, it changes our actions, and so it affects the pain.
Okay, it was a very wonderful explanation, Dr. Tanmay. The next question is related to psychological stress itself, but I have to read the question. Can psychological stress causes low back pain?
It will aggravate the back pain. I will not say it will cause, because there is, I feel it is not only um one factor which gives you back pain. I think there are multiple factors which increase your pain, which decrease your pain also. So, psychological stress, yes, it will automatically affect your back. If you have a lot of stress in office and you have a lot of work to do, you will not take the breaks. As you're not taking the break, it will automatically give problems later on, because we have seen we land up into pain very easily. Okay, and as we are psychologically stressed, we don't exercise also, so it hampers all daily routine activities. So we feel the stress more, we feel the pain also more. It is directly proportional.
Okay. So again, we have one question. Does postural belt helps?
Yes, it helps, but only training patients for correct posture, not on a very day-to-day basis. So, what usually happens is postural belts will keep your posture in a correct way, but because the patient is not doing it consciously, okay, they will again land up into their original posture easily. So just to train them that how their posture should be, it helps. But if you are giving the postural belt for longest duration, that you wear this and then go to office, it will not help later, because it should automatically go within the their habit of sitting straight and sitting supported.
Okay. Again, one more question on a posture. Slouch posture causes rhomboid pain. How to prevent and manage it?
So, slouching posture is usually we don't recommend it, because as we tend to slouch, there's pain not only at the rhomboids, but low back is also hanging in the air. So it affects the whole curvature of the low back also. So to prevent it, is first thing is to whenever a person slouches, because that is their normal way to do it, automatically ask them to be conscious and sit straight, take a break. That becomes a very major key here. Or else, if they are still there, the rhomboid pain is there, we automatically turn to all our modalities, all our exercise therapies, manual therapies, to prevent the pain and manage the pain also.
Okay. One more question, Dr. Tanmay. Can aquatic exercises help to treat low back pain?
Yes, it works wonders if people are, walking in the pool, and aquatic exercises, because you get assistance and resistance of the movement at the same time. Water does wonders to people with low back pain. Correcting postures also, it helps a lot, because swimming is a very wonderful exercise to ideally have within the um, routine. And as particularly because these water assists and resists on a very contraction basis on the muscles, it it helps you to improve the muscular stability within the body. So people with back pain, knee pain specifically, people with postural flat foot or arched foot, these people will be more helped in aquatic exercises.
Okay. Next question related to postural belt is postural belt helps so scapula stays in position for slouch posture people.
It does help, because it retracts your shoulders behind. It does help, but it will not help on a very longer duration. patient will not use it and it will weaken the muscles on longer duration. So if you give patient this kind of postural belts for a shorter duration, that use it for 10-15 minutes, 10-15 days, and that should be, giving you a correct posture, sense of correct posture, it will help. But if you're asking them to wear on a day-to-day basis, the muscles will be more weak later.
Okay. So I think we should conclude this webinar now. You have answered all the questions very well with the wonderful explanation. So it should not be concluded without acknowledging the people. So this insightful session can't be concluded without acknowledging the people who took efforts to make it possible. So to start with, I would like to take a moment to extend our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Sanjeev Jha sir, President of IIP, Dr. Ruchi Vashne ma'am, IIPWC National Head, and Dr. Pooja Kamble ma'am, IIPWC West Zonal Head, for granting us the permission to conduct this event. Their willingness to allow us to host these events reflects a great deal of trust and confidence, for which we are sincerely grateful. I extend my deepest gratitude to Dr. Suvarna Ganvir ma'am, State Coordinator, IIPWC, Maharashtra State, for her invaluable guidance and support throughout the process. Her expert advice has been instrumental in shaping our approach and achieving our goals. I appreciate the support given by Dr. Uttara Mohan ma'am, Dr. Priyanka Karande ma'am, Dr. Nirali Sanghavi ma'am, the sub-coordinators of IIPWC Maharashtra State, for their constant supervision in framing and executing the concept of this webinar series. I also appreciate the efforts of all team members of Networking Committee IIPWC Maharashtra State for their coordinated work as a team, resulting in a successful event. Without our technical team, it was impossible to reach our audience. So, a special thank to the technical team. Once again, my heartfelt thanks to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Tanmayee Puntambekar, for delivering such an engaging and informative presentation on ergonomics of low back pain. Last but not the least, our audience, we are incredibly grateful for your enthusiastic participation and the thoughtful questions you posted. Your engagement has significantly enriched today's event and contributed to its success. It provides added motivation to come up with more and more learning opportunities in future. Thank you all for your support and involvement. And with this webinar, we are ended with the webinar series. We have started on 8th September, that is World Physiotherapy Day. We will again come with such amazing webinar series in future. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.